Auntie Connie and loudmouth Linda, keeping it real, no agenda. Satire, truth, and a whole lot of fun. Politics, crime, we get it all done. From breaking news to a joke or two, we do it our way just for you. We just can't make this stuff up. 1 year strong and we ain't gonna stop. Mic in hand, voices loud, shouting truth, making you proud.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody had amazing Memorial Day weekend. I know I did. I was really busy. Believe it or not, I was really busy. I cooked and I baked, and now me and my daughter, or should I say my daughter and I, excuse me, guys, these wonderful allergies. Anyway, so we're making these water jugs, and they are super, super cool. And they're made out of gourds, and we clean the gourds out and put a cork in them, that kind of thing. Paint the outside of them, resin the outside of them. We're pretty excited that they actually turned out very, very nice. But I was trying to explain to my mom, she came over and spent the day with us yesterday, and she saw them and she was like, "What are you going to do with these? What are you going to do with these?" And I said, "Well, we're making water jugs. We drill out the top and then we clean the whole inside out, and then, right? And then you can carry water, wine, whatever your flavor is or paver is, and this is how you carry yourself around." Anyway, I was telling my mom, she said, "Well, wouldn't it be easier just to make one out of plastic or something?" And I said, "Mom, this was the kind of thing they did before Jesus." And she burst out laughing. And then she got to thinking about it, and she said, "Well, when at the water well, we had a bucket, a great big barrel where they had the water." And she said, "And we had a gourd that was hooked to a stick, and that's how we got our water." And I said, "Well, see, there you go. Gourds were popular even when you were a little girl." So this is what I've been doing. This is where I was busy, and I was painting these. We were painting these until about midnight, but they're turning out so beautiful. When one's done, I'll get some pictures and show them to you. They're just incredible. Anyway, so off of that, how was everybody else's weekend? I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. It's nice to spend time with the family, and it's nice to, it's just nice to have family time. All right. So now we're going into the Diddy stuff. So Capricorn Clark is testifying this morning, right? So let me get you all caught up on exactly what's been said so far. So Judge Sumerian said, "I see you've been burning the midnight oil over the weekend. What about the DNA questions?" And the AUSA said, that's the United States Attorney said, "Investigator Jimenez knowledge of his is extremely limited." And the judge said, "But didn't he ask the serologist if any DNA test was done?" And the attorney said, "No, but not the results." So then the attorney for the United States said, "Yes, there was a partial profile from the glass bottle in the car, but investigator Jimenez does not know what that means. But there, and then the judge said, "You don't object to the report coming in, only what Mr. Agnifilio will ask." And the attorney said, We do object to the report coming in. And Agnifilio said he got the results back. If the DNA came back with Sean Combs' DNA, this investigation would have gone in a different direction, but it was consistent with a female contributor. The judge said, so it's not whether the result was accurate, only the impact. So this is all going back to what we're looking for is we're looking for DNA. Good morning, my KMM. I need to get with you and talk to you a little bit. So if you can get with me on Discord or whatever, I need to talk to you for just a minute. Anyway, so they're looking for DNA on the bottle in the car to prove that Diddy had something to do with the Molotov cocktail in Kid Cudi's car, right? So we'll go back to that. Agnifilio said he got the results back. If the DNA came back with Sean Combs' DNA, this investigation would have gone in a different direction. But it was consistent with the female contributor. So the judge said, so if it's not whether the results was accurate, only the impact. I'm going to overrule the objection, but I'll hear you at sidebar after the direct. And the prosecution said this DNA issue can be misleading to the jury. Agnifilio, we could prove this up through the seriologist. This is fair game for the witness. For now, the objection is overruled. What about the summary charts? When are they being offered? Some early next week, others along with our second to last witness before we rest our case. Bringing in bank and phone records and texts, is that okay? But some text threads are already in. So they're looking for DNA, right? To prove that Diddy was the one or affiliated with the Molotov cocktail that was in Kid Cudi's car. So what they have found is that it was a female DNA, but they don't know who's, right. Okay, that seems a little weird. You don't know? I'm sorry, I don't know. Okay, all right. So this weekend, I was reflecting on all of this P. Diddy thing. We'll go back to the testimony in just a second, but I was reflecting on all of this Diddy trial and everything, and I got to ask a question. Can you tell me what you guys think? I'm kind of struggling with it. I mean, I know the answer, but so it's proven that Diddy's dad did this, also had these freak off parties and did all of this kind of stuff. And we know about the mom doing all the kind of crazy, nasty things she did, right? So Diddy's mom and dad both were in this nasty, corrupt, kind of gross kind of atmosphere, and they all had these he had freak off parties and she did tricks, and you know what I mean, all of this this is the culture that Diddy grew up in. And then also they said that they would, I hate to even put it like this, but they slept with each other. The family members did too. So, I mean, there was incestual stuff going there also. And I'm struggling with the point of, so if Diddy's a child and this is what he's brought up in, and his mom and dad are both doing it, does that mean that it's all right in his eyes? I'm sure he probably feels it's all right. He doesn't understand that it's against the law because my mom and dad are both doing it, right? It should be okay. I mean, I'm not cutting him a pass, guys. I'm not cutting him a pass. He definitely needs to do the time for the crime that he committed. I just am thinking that It's really sad that we took a child and molded them into this, and then Diddy took over the empire, right? Diddy took over his dad's empire. His dad was a music producer also, and he did these freak out parties and all this crazy stuff also. So they took this child and they molded him into this freak off demon. So who's really to blame? The mom and dad, right? But then I struggle with, all right, so at a certain age, wouldn't you come to the conclusion that this is not good? You don't do this kind of stuff. This is against the law. You don't continue doing, if you're doing bad behaviors, don't you need to change your bad behaviors yourself and find that, hey, this isn't a good thing. I need to change it and carry on with a lot better things. Um, I don't know. I mean, this is what I struggle with. And Diddy's a demon. Agreed. We all agree that. Diddy shouldn't force himself on anyone. Diddy should not threaten anybody's life. Diddy should not blow up cars or drug people or do any of this stuff. It's against the law. Agreed. Totally agreed. But if his parents taught him to be this way and molded him into being this way, this is the reason he feels he needs to defend himself. Right? Right. Exactly, KMM. Exactly. So, I mean, we're playing judge, jury, prosecutor, and executor, right? This is what we're playing the role of. And we need to look at all the facts here. And these are the facts. These are the facts. Diddy grew up in a bad home that thought all of that stuff was okay. And somewhere along the line, though, wouldn't you think somewhere along his demon path, somebody would have came in and did like an intervention and said, hey, you're going down the wrong way. This is now, I think that Gene Deal in the beginning, he testifies or talks about how he said, don't hit your mom, don't do any of this kind of stuff. I think he tried to kind of change some of that, and then he didn't work for him anymore. And then Diddy got worse. But I just feel like somewhere along the line, there was no intervention done, and he just became this horrible person that felt like, well, he looks at himself as God. So I don't believe that he's willing to give up his fake throne, if you know what I mean. I don't think he's willing to give up his fake throne and worship a real God when he thinks he is, if that makes any sense. I think later down the road, I think there's going to come a time in his life when he's going to go to his knees, and he's going to ask for forgiveness. And at that point, God will forgive him. He'll forgive everything. It doesn't matter what we do, God forgives you, right? If you, in your true heart of hearts, ask for forgiveness and really feel that you did wrong, God will forgive you. So here we go, talking about, well, will he get forgiveness? Well, I think that if he truly, truly felt in his heart that he did wrong and it was bad, and he asked God to forgive him and to be his savior, I think he would. I think that can happen. I just think that he needs to get to that point. So let's go back to this testimony. So it said, the judge says, now as Mr. Cuddy's testimony, which seemed like an opinion, how is it admissible given the requirements of Rule 701? And the prosecution said, we'd like to look at the case submitted by the defendant, then put it in a letter. And the judge said, okay, bring in the jury. Okay, bring in the jury. And the jury enters, and the judge says, welcome back. Call your next witness. And the prosecution says, the government calls Capricorn Clark. Where did you grow up? Capricorn Clark. Back in San Francisco, moved to LA, worked for Def Jam, then Death Row Records, a late 90s gangster rap label. And the prosecution said, what was your relation to Suge Knight? And Capricorn Clark said, he is the father of my friend's child. The prosecution said, then you worked for Sean Combs. And Capricorn Clark said, yes, he is over there in a blue sweater. I worked for him from 2004 to 2012. Were you kidnapped? And she said, yes. When did you first meet Mr. Combs? Capricorn Clark. When I moved to New York City in 2002, we were super platonic friends. A headhunter said I should work for him as a personal assistant, and I did until 2006. And your duties were, Capricorn Clark, shadow him for wake up. Wow, what a job. Here, okay, wake up. Okay, it's time to wake up now. Then what? And Capricorn Clark said, head of women's for Sean Jean. How long? Then global brand director for Sean Combs' name and likeness due to diligence to grow the brand. Then I was terminated until 2016 for Cassandra Ventura. And the prosecution said, did you work in the building? And photo of Bad Boys Records office. And Capricorn Clark said, yes, we moved there in 2005. And the prosecution said, your first day, where did Mr. Combs take you? And in Central Park after dark, along with Uncle Polly, he looked like a linebacker. And then the prosecution said, does this photo look like him? Capricorn Clark, no, he doesn't have on the black out shades he wore all the time. And the prosecution said, what did Mr. Combs tell you in the park? She said that since I worked for Suge Knight, if anything happened, he might have to kill me. And of course, objection. And the judge said, overruled, proceed. Prosecution said, how did you take it? And she said, seriously, it had gratuities. Prosecution said, how did you react? I said I didn't have anything to do with that stuff. Objection. The judge said, sustained, Mr. Steiner. Prosecution said, what was Polly's role? Capricorn Clark said, all aspects of Mr. Combs' movements to keep him safe. There was also D-Rock, Roger Bonds, and Ruben. Who is D-Rock? A good friend of Biggie Smalls, running back type body. Prosecution said, did you ever observe Mr. Combs with a gun? Capricorn Clark said, yes, in my home. And did he talk about it? And Capricorn Clark said, Mr. Combs, told Chris Lightly he had a gun. He had problem with 50 Cent. And the prosecution said, were you ever accused of stealing? She said, yes, jewelry. It had been given to me and it was on loan. It was missing. She said, yes. What did you do? Capricorn Clark said, from Teterboro, I called 1440 and told them to knock it down. What did Uncle Polly do? He questioned me for 3 hours. You went home? To Queens, yes. With Uncle Polly, he searched my home. Okay, so here's the thing. Good morning, Spudsy. So here's my thing. Where's Uncle Polly? Is Uncle Polly deceased? I don't know. She's testifying Uncle Polly. Maybe he is on the list for witnesses. All right. And then, okay, so the prosecution said, "Where did Uncle Polly take you?" And she said, 1710 Broadway. It was debilitating. It was being fixed up. But I didn't know that. Uncle Polly took me to the 6th floor. The floor was locked behind us. The door was locked behind us. There was a 6-foot folding table and a heavy set man. The prosecution said, "Can you describe him?" Capricorn Clark said, five of me, 2 linebackers. He was chain smoking, the prosecution said. "Did Uncle Polly stay?" She said, "No." Intermediately he came back. "What did the heavyset man say?" He said, "I was there to take a lie detector test." And the prosecution said, what did he say would happen if you failed the lie detector test?" And Capricorn Clark said that they would throw me in the East River. Combs and Filio, "Objection. Can we have a sidebar?" And so they went to a sidebar. Judge said, "Mr. Steiner, you may proceed." And the prosecution said, "What was his demeanor?" Capricorn Clark, "Very serious. I was terrified." Did you want to take the test?" "No, I was afraid." "How was the test?" "Wires on you and they questioned you." "Did I steal?" Prosecution, "Did he tell you the results?" Capricorn Clark, "He said to calm down, that he couldn't get a good reading and he might have to throw me in the East River." Prosecution, "Anyone else in the building?" "No, not to my knowledge." "Could you leave?" Paul said no. What did Paul say at the end? He'd come back to the next day to figure this out. He started again, another lie detector test in the same location all day. Were you free to leave?" "No." "How long did this go on?" 5 days. All right, guys. If you take somebody and you keep them captive for 5 days, is that not kidnapping? Just saying. Good morning, Spitz. Is that not kidnapping? Isn't this part of this RICO trial? Yes. Kidnapping is part of the RICO trial, and she is saying she was there against her will and was held for 5 days. Well, I mean, all right, so now we go back to that's hearsay, he say, she say, they say, I say, this is what's going on. Where's the proof, right? Where's the proof? Where's the proof? Right, right. Why did she ever work for him after the first day? It's all about this. Cameron, it's all about this. If I promised you a mansion and a brand new car and a big 8 figures in your account and all of this kind of stuff, you're going to keep working to try and get that, right? I don't think she ever saw it. I don't think she ever got anything she was promised. But they make it sound so good at first. I am going to give you the sun, moon, and the stars. And you know what? All you have to do is follow me. Doesn't it sound kind of like an occult? Because God never said anywhere that he would give you riches and he would give you a mansion and he would give you a Lamborghini. God never said that. God said that he would keep us comfortable, give us enough food to survive, but he never said he was going to buy you a Lamborghini. Never. Never said he was going to give you a mansion. But P. Diddy said that he would give you a mansion and he would give you a record album and he would give you all of this money and all this fame that he really didn't give a whole lot of people. You know, there's something in my heart of hearts that feels sorry for Diddy. And guys, I know that he's guilty. I know that he's nasty. I know that he's a demon. I know that everything he done was so wrong. But something in my heart says it really wasn't his fault. His dad taught him, his mom and dad taught him to be that way. And that, you have a little child and you mold them into whatever it is. You want to mold them into a great, upstanding part of society. That's what you want. You want them to love their neighbor and you want them to be helpful and you want them to be honest and you want them to love the Lord as you do. And this is all the things that you mold your child into. And then these children grow up and they teach their children and then it carries on, right? Well, if you have a mom and dad that the dad is a freak that started all the parties in the first place, he's the one that started the freak offs. And you have a mother that's a madam of a house of ill repute, and you think it's okay to do your family members and all of this kind of stuff because you know what, this is what they did. His mind is warped at this point, right? His mind is warped. Do I think he needs to do time? Absolutely. I am not backing away from that. No. He's 56 years old, and he did what he did, and he has to do his time. You do the crime, you pay the time. There it is, plain and simple. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I was searching for what made him think that he was above the law and that he could get away with this kind of stuff. What made him think that he could control people's lives? Okay, so now we have that, right? Now we know why he acts the way he does. Now we know why he's a control freak. Now we know why he thinks he's God. Now we know really why he's a narcissist, right? I'm not cutting him any slack. I'm not saying that he's not guilty. He's definitely guilty. He controlled people. In the testimony from Capricorn Clark, she said he beat her. He did everything. He controlled everyone. He put a butt whipping on just about everybody he had around him. Right? Right? Well, Apple, that's the truth. Okay, here we go, KMM. That's a good question. So these kids are still young, right? His kids are still young. Wouldn't it be time right now that these kids go through therapy, get them started in the right path, get them going down that narrow path? Because right now they're in that open demon road that everything goes. So, yeah, I believe that it's time that they get a hold of his kids. Now, some of them, it may take going to prison. And isn't that sad that you have to say that You might have to go to prison to be able to get on the path of the righteous and you know what? Do you have to go to prison to do that? Some people do. Some people do. And some people go back to prison before they ever decide that this is that going down the path of righteousness and all his glory is sometimes they can't stay on that path. They've been being so bad for so long that they don't know how to be nice and they don't know how to love their neighbor and they don't know how to be honest and they don't know how not to hurt somebody. They don't know how not to control somebody. They don't know. They don't know. And, you know, I think that if they would have gotten Diddy as a child and put him in therapy, but then, you know, here we go. The mom and dad didn't think they were doing anything wrong, right? They believed they were above the law. Where did that nasty inform that molding come from? Were their parents like that? I mean, is this a cycle of nasty freak off, disgusting, right? Follow me? Somebody's got to break this cycle. Somewhere somebody's got to break this cycle. So yeah, I think the kids need to go into therapy. I think that the kids need help. I think someone need, although, you know, his twin daughters, no, none of his kids have been going to court at all. Even his mom quit going. Now, that's really odd, I think, because a mom is with their child till death, right? You follow your child, even though you know in your heart of hearts they're wrong, you still follow them and you still try to keep molding this person that you want. And he's in court and he's facing life. Where's his mom? Where's his mom? I'm here to support you, even though, well, his mom didn't think he did anything wrong either because his mom was one of those kind of people. But she's nowhere showing any support. I think she's listening to the back channels and deciding that, you know what, maybe Diddy isn't so great after all. Well, it's really easy to do this. Wash your hands of that when you're the one that created that monster. Just saying, in my own personal opinion. Anyway, now his daughters, his twin daughters, they're not there. They're not there. They're repulsed by this man. So there you go. There's the healing in the daughters starting now. They don't want anything to do with him, especially when they think that he may be affiliated with their mother's passing. How about that? How about that? So right now, what Capricorn Clark is doing is she's testifying to the control. She's testifying to the kidnapping. She's testifying to how brutal he was and this kind of thing. This is her thing. This goes right into the RICO trial, guys. It just goes right on. This just shows one more thing into one more nail in the coffin for Diddy. So now that I have ranted and raved and whatever for a little bit, I want to know how everybody's weekend was now that I've got a few people in here and they can tell me how their weekend was. Did y'all have a good weekend? Did you have good family time? We did. We did. I just said before the show started that, you know, everybody has a great plan and a great idea, and until it comes into fruition, it's just a plan, right? It's just a dream. Well, my daughter decided we're going to make water jugs out of gourds. Yeah, it's been a very learning experience. To say the least, it's been a learning experience. I do a lot of dirty pour and I do a lot of paintings and that kind of thing. And We dirty poured on these gourds. They turned out really pretty. It took a little while. We had to play with them, and then we're going to seal them in resin. They're going to be beautiful when they're done. But I'm just telling you, yeah, talk about molding. I guess this is where this thing came to my mind that I had to come on here and talk about, because I thought, look at this gourd. It really isn't anything, right? It's just a gourd with all of its imperfections, its spots here and its little dents there and its ugly appearance, and yeah, it's just a gourd, right? It's not anything. And then when we added the paint on it, it took that gourd and it turned it into something really beautiful. And some of those gourds had to have 4 or 5 different pours because it just wasn't right. But they're beautiful right now. And I thought, wouldn't it have been nice if when Diddy was born, all fresh and new, and no one molding him yet, if he would have had a good family and he could have been molded into an upstanding citizen and not the pig that he was. Just saying. Just saying. I guess that's where all that came from, when you guys are like, why is she defending Diddy? And I'm like, I'm not defending Diddy. Diddy's going to do time. All right. Diddy's going to spend the rest of his life behind bars. Is Diddy going to testify? If you looked at the thumbnail, Diddy's running the show right now, guys. Whether you realize it or not, he's still in control. He's telling his attorneys what to say, what questions to ask. Diddy's not an attorney. He doesn't know what to ask. He don't know what questions to ask, but yet he still is in control. And he's telling his attorneys what questions to ask, why to ask them, what buttons to push, and with whom. Do I think he's going to get up on the stand? This is what I think. I think I may owe Woofy. We made a side bet, and I think I'm going to end up having to pay Woofy, because I think his attorneys are going to tell him no. And they're going to say, you could destroy this case. And I don't think you should testify, because I think that you're going to be your own worst witness. But I think the man is going to get up there because he feels like he needs to defend himself. And he's so wrong. And his mind is so warped that I think he's just going to, it's going to be detrimental to him to get on the stand. He's going to take himself down. Like all great leaders that ever took themselves down, Diddy's going to be his own worst enemy. And as we go on, it was 6 weeks, we're 2 weeks through, so we got 4 more weeks to go. Let's see, KMM. I don't think he can get out of his, you're right, he can't get out of his own way. He can't get out of his own way. He's one of these that's going to say, yeah, but I did this, but I was taught this way. I did this, but they said it was okay. I did this, but no, the but's not there. All right. It's against the law. It is against the law. You can't take a person and lock them in a room for 5 days and it not be kidnapping unless that person wants to stay there. And he thinks it's okay. And he's probably telling his attorneys, hey, you know what? Tell them that tell them that they wanted to stay. Okay. Make them think they wanted to stay. Can you do that? Okay. Here, this is what you need to tell them. Okay, Diddy, you're, I guess, a musician, kind of. I've never listened to your music, but from what I understand, it wasn't that great. So you're an okay musician, right? But an attorney You are not. So you really need to stand out of the way of your attorneys and let them do your job. They did. This is what you hired them for. Let them do their job. But you know what? He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. He wants he wants to have control of everyone and everything in every situation, and it's not going to happen. This is going to be, as our neighborhood kids would say, or when I was growing up, the saying of no bueno por nada, no good for nothing. It's not going to help him out. Getting up on the stand is not going to help him. Too many people are testifying against him. And like I said, got 4 more weeks to go. Capricorn Clark was pretty strong witness. I don't know. I'm sure that the concrete, physical evidence that everyone wants to see is probably not going to be until next week or the week after, till the real paperwork starts showing up. I could be wrong, but this is what I think is going to happen. It's crazy, guys, huh? And now the Carmelo Anthony trial, he had to give back all of his money. Did you know that, KMM? He had to give back all the money. They had to refund all the gifts and go and all of that money. So now he's broke. He's got to take his state appointed prosecution. And Dominique Alexander, well, I'm sure he'll fade into the woodwork because that's what he was after, right? He was after the money, and now they don't have any. Oh, you don't have any money to pay me to defend you? Well, then I'm sorry, we can't defend you. It's bad. It's bad. But when it's justified, don't you think justice always prevails in the end? Somehow or another it comes out, because I'll tell you, I don't think that kid should have gotten $600,000. I don't think you should. Come on. Come on. You don't do bad things. This is what I was saying earlier. Not today, not yes, not but months ago. We are living in a world of rewarding bad behavior. You do something bad and people get rewarded for it. No, no, we don't reward bad behavior. If you're bad and you do the crime, you're going to do the time. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. If you find yourself on that big demon road that's so wide that you can never fall off of it, well, you don't deserve rewards. You don't. You don't deserve rewards. If you go down that narrow path of righteous and God fearing and loving and kind, I believe you deserve all the rewards in God's eyes. I believe you deserve all the rewards that heaven is bountiful and is going to give you. Rewarding, yeah, rewarding a little thug. No, that's not right. And you're right. It's rewarding bad behavior. And he was he was going to graduate, and they said, no, we don't believe that he should be able to walk the stage and graduate. No, no, why? Why? And that's another case. I sit here thinking to myself, you didn't want to hurt him, apparently, or you think, or you said, or you're just whatever. When you asked the cop, is he going to be all right? Really? You asked the cop if he was going to be all right, and you took a 5-inch blade and stuck it into his chest, and you're asking if he's going to be all right. Who are you trying to fool here? I mean, what kind of smoke screen did you throw up? Because come on, you knew what you did, and it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. You took that step and you decided that you were going to play God at that point and you were going to eliminate someone. For what? For asking you to get out from underneath the tent. Really? Yeah. And the one in the other case that KMM and I are looking at, I was reading up, is the one in Idaho, right? And we were looking that one up. That's crazy too. That guy was a lunatic. That's another Ted Bundy case. I mean, I guess some people are born crazy and some aren't. I mean, there's some people that there's an excuse in the upbringing somewhere, always in the past of the child, that makes them be kind of crazy at times and whatever. But they still have to do the time. You do the crime, you do the time. I'm sorry. And maybe somewhere in the prison system, Diddy will get therapy because he's going to need it. That's just my own personal opinion. Because you don't reward bad behavior. You don't reward bad behavior. Did you reward your kids for being bad? If they broke a vase, did you say, "Good job, let me buy you a Nintendo"? Or if they got an F on a test, did you tell them, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. Maybe if you would try just a little harder next time, we could get an F minus"? I'm just saying, we don't we don't reward bad behavior. But for some reason, society feels that way right now. And I think it's really sad. We're going on the wrong track. Definitely on the wrong track. We're on a track that we need to stop this ship and turn it around before we hit a waterfall, because you can't do this. You can't reward bad behavior. You know, it. How can you explain to somebody that Jesus died on the cross for your sins, and he was beaten and he was crucified and he was everything they could do to him, but he died for your sins so that you would never have to, so that you could have eternal life? And you say, and he never did anything wrong but help people. And they go, okay, well, so if I do bad, then I'll get all kinds of things and that won't happen to me. I mean, is this their mind thinking here? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. No, no, it's not like that. You can't do bad things and good things happen to you. You do good things and good things happen to you. There was a man that was willing to die for you, died for all of us, so that we could make the right decisions in our life. Thank you, God, for that. Thank you, God, for that. For giving me the ability to make my own decisions, to make me my own free moral agents. Make us free moral agents so we can decide exactly what we want to do and how we want to mold ourselves and what path we want to travel. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I think that Diddy's Diddy is going to have a life changing experience someday if he doesn't pass on before that. Of course, the Lake of Fire is full of probably a lot of Diddies. Just saying. People that just did not understand Wouldn't, couldn't, wouldn't, shouldn't, just didn't. And that's sad. Okay, I'll get off my little pulpit here now. Um, but I just, for some reason, this weekend just got to thinking a little bit about him. Thought, why were you such a crazy lunatic? Okay, so we're at the part now that Capricorn Clark has been in the room for 5 days and she wasn't allowed to leave. The prosecution said, what happened after 5 days? And she said that I could return to work, that Mr. Combs would see me the next week. And the prosecution said, did Mr. Combs ever discuss it with you? No. Why did you continue to work with Mr. Combs? If I left, they'd think I stole. If I left, they would think I stole. So you continued to work there because you didn't want anyone to think you stole anything. Well, that's kind of sad. You know, if I worked in a place like that, and they threatened and told me that I was stealing, and if I quit, that it proved, I would quit anyway. I don't care. You know what? It's between me and God, and people believe and say whatever they want to. All right, prosecution. What were your days like? Okay, and she said, from his townhouse at 74th Street and Park in the morning to Daddy's house studio at night. How much sleep did you get? On a good day, 4 hours. On a bad day, 2. I got stress condition and I was paid $55K. $55,000. What, a year? Is it worth that? I don't think so. I'm sorry, I don't think so. Did you get paid overtime? No. I spoke to the head of HR. Okay, so and the head of HR is who? Diddy? Okay, all right. I spoke to the head of HR. She said I was owed 80,000. How did Mr. Combs respond? He ripped up the paper. Would Mr. Combs stay at hotels? Yes. With whom? Kim Porter once a week. Wow. What names would be, what names would be the room booked under? Frank Black or Frank White? That's kind of odd, huh? That's a generic name, Frank Black or Frank White. And the girlfriends, Jackie Starr. Where did he stay? He stayed in the Intercontinental Buckhead in Atlanta, Beverly Hills Hotel in LA. Where were the bags? Let's see. And I'm not sure where that went to because the next thing I'm getting is not anything. Oh, here we go. Okay. So they kind of got off that subject, but then they said, Capricorn Clark, a camera, small bottle of baby oil and lube. Cameras every time. What were you doing? What were you doing? Watching TV, ordering room service, keeping up on sleep, and afterwards I would sweep the room for anything left behind. Any damage? Baby oil. Oh, can you imagine? Can you guys imagine? Hey, Woofy! Can you imagine what kind of damage the baby oil did to everything? Can you imagine? That baby oil. They said, I was reading an article that said that after Diddy left, that they had to have deep cleaning and air freshening cleaning, and they had to have the windows open. And they sometimes they just basically had to remove all the curtains and the bedding and everything and replace brand new. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. You owe these people overtime money, and they're working their butt off for you, and they're all working overtime, but you would rather spend your money paying for new curtains and new sheets and new whatever because you're an idiot. Is that what I'm getting here? Just I'm sorry. That you're so into yourself. You're so selfish. Well, you got some answering to do, bud. All right. So, it says, so prosecution said, how frequently would Mr. Combs stay in the hotel with Cassandra Ventura in 2008? And Capricorn Clark said, like once a week at I Hermitage, the London and Intercontinental for several days. The IV drips. For several days, the IV drips. Did he speak to you about his relationship with Miss Ventura? Yes. Miss London was there. Chef Jordan in the other room. He called Cassie over, asked her to walk for her to walk there. Hand me that. Go back in the other room. She did it. What did he say? You bitches won't do that. That's why you don't have men. Wow. Yeah, no, I don't think you're right there, dude. You need an attitude adjustment. You needed someone bigger and stronger and meaner than you that just whipped your butt. What did he say? You're motherfucking right. She said, I did not do any of that. Did you observe Mr. Combs obtain drugs? A girl in New York and LA from one stop, Molly ecstasy delivered to Puffer to me. Did he ask you to get drugs for him? Yes, ecstasy. And in the south of France, he asked me to get him cocaine. I said, for who? And he said, why? Why did you ask that? I wasn't going to do it, given how my mother died. Agnophilio objection, sidebar. Sidebar going. They're back. Who did Mr. Combs say the drugs were for? He said, not me. Did you get them? Yes, through the Spanish security guard. Guys, isn't it amazing? Think about this. No matter where you're at, what country you're in, whether you know somebody or you don't, you can find drugs, right? I mean, just walk up to the security at the hotel and say, hey, can I get some of this stuff? So who did Mr. Combs say the drugs are for? He said, not me. Okay, I already read that. Sorry, guys. Yes, through the Spanish security guard. He also get prescription drugs in my name. They were in the toiletry bag I'd carry on my security. Wow. Wow. What about the bulk cash? Capricorn Clark said, yes, $1,000 in euros coming back from Europe. Where'd he get it? Club booking in Europe. He'd keep it, then give it to security, then into his bedroom personal safe. Violence? Fighting. Yes, fighting. Was Mr. Combs violent with you? Yes, at Star Island, he told me, you're not to leave this house. Farrell Williams was brought in by boat. I returned Mr. Walker to Palm Island. He called and said, where the fuck are you? You can't have a life. Wow, Diddy, you can't, everyone deserves life. Well, you're going to see, because you're going to do life, so you won't get a life. So you won't have a life. All right, so see, out of the mouth, ask and you will receive. Open your mouth and you will be given to you. You are going to jail. and you are going to not have a life. How about that? Isn't that good? You like the way I figured that one out? Okay, sorry. And moving on. Did you leave your employment? I did, but you returned as a global brand director. Why? He was impressed by what I did in this job. I'd left for a couple of albums. He said you wouldn't have to work directly for me. What were you doing for Mrs. Ventura? Managing her image. Oh, Capricorn, you did a really good job managing her image. She got beat up all the time and had to take pictures in her sunglasses. That's a heck of an image that you did not manage. Anyway, managing her image, maximizing the optics for her. For Sean Combs, he had the final approval on everything. Well, of course he did. In LA, where did you live? A gated community. We had followed Kim Porter there. Where was Miss Ventura? In New York City, on West End. She would come to LA and stay with him or with me or in a hotel. Who else was Miss Ventura seeing? Miss Cuddy. How'd you learn that? She brought him into my apartment. Wow, huh, guys? I was managing her image. Oh, I don't think you did a very good job because her image wasn't very good. She had to wear sunglasses because her eyes were blacked out. Oh, Capricorn, you didn't do your job very good this time, did you? All right. Let's see now. So, in New York City, okay. So, how'd you learn that? She brought him into my apartment. What did he say? She texted me. They were going to this public place in LA, and I told her if it was a bad idea and to delete the text. Why? If Mr. Combs learned about Mr. Combs paid for my phone and hers. Wow. Wow. Okay, so is that not total control? Here, let me pay for your phone and let me pay for her phone, and I can get the messages. You can call your phone provider and they can give you a copy of all text messages that have been sent to each phone. So is that not also control? All right, we're getting there. We're getting all about control. And what'd she say? She texted me that they were going. Oh, okay. We already did that. Okay. I took Cassie to Best Buy to get a burner phone. When did Mr. Combs return to town? Not long after. He took Cassie to a hotel, the Sipperani, Ronnie, whatever. And then December 22nd, 2011, between 5:30 and 6 a.m., they were banging at my door. Huh. What did you see through the peephole? A furious puff. Objection, Agnifilio said. Judge, ask another question, Mr. Steiner. What was his movement? Pacing with something in his hand? Did you open the door? I did. What was he wearing? Button-down sweater, torn pants, and he was holding the gun. He came into my apartment and said, "Why didn't you tell me? Who is Scott?" I said, "I don't know any Scott." What did he say? "We're going to kill him. Kill this," and then he said the N-word. Where was the gun? In his hand. I said, "I didn't want to go." He said, I don't give a F what you want. Get dressed." What concerns did you have? He never come he's never come to my house. Did you try to escape? No, I got dressed. Wow. Wow. Just wow. Huh? What do you guys think so far? So, was that control? Think he had control? I would say he had a lot of control. Okay, so how long does it take to drive from your house at the time to Cuddy's house in Hollywood Hills? If you push it about 15 to 20 minutes. What did Mr. Combs and Ruby do at the Cuddy house? They went in. Could you see in? Yes. What did you do? I called Cassie on her burner phone and I said, Cassie, where the F? I told her Puff was at Cuddy's house. Then I changed her number in my phone to my best friend Stormy. What did you hear on the phone? That Scott was at Cassie's. So Scott must be Cuddy's first name, right? So it's Scott Muscuddy, right? So that's what I'm putting together here. When Mr. Combs came when Mr. Combs came back, he took my phone and called the last number. Then I saw Cuddy driving up. Mr. Combs saw my face and said, "Where's that N-word right there? There's that N-word right there." We drove off and saw the cops driving the other way towards Cuddy's. Puff was pulling himself together. He stopped at the Key Club and he told me to call Cassie. What did he tell you to tell Cassie? That he had me and wouldn't let me go. Wow. How did Mrs. Ventura respond? She said, "Okay, come get me." She was calm. She drove Who drove you home? Reuben. What did Mr. Combs tell you? To convince Cuddy not to say that it had been him at his house. I picked up Cassie. Yeah, tell him I didn't do it. Tell him I didn't tear your house down. Tell him I didn't burn your car up. Come on, can't you? You can convince him. You can tell him. He'll believe you. Right, right. I mean, look at him. There was proof he was a kid got his house with a weapon. He's so, he is so into himself. He's so blind. He is so blind. And Wolfie, I may lose depending on which way this goes. I may lose to you, my friend, because he may just be one of those kind of people that's going to get up and defend himself and say, "Here, let me explain. This is the way this really was." I mean, it's mind boggling. I just sit here and listen to how he controlled these people and he had them do things and they did it. They just, well, other than being afraid of getting beat up or getting their phones turned off or getting thrown out in the streets or not having their meal for the next day, they still did it all. Wow. Everybody was totally afraid of him. Okay. So it said, "So where did you go?" "We went to Cuddy's and tried to convince him not to file a police report." "What did you tell them?" "The Puff came to my house with a gun." "What did you tell them he said?" "If you tell on him, he'll hurt us all." Wow, isn't that kind of like blackmail? And what was Mr. Cuddy's reaction? Mind blown. Agnophilia, objection. Jury will disregard. What happened at the house? He was kicking Cassie again and again and again. Jeez. How was Cassie? in the fetal position, Mr. Combs kicking her all the way to the street. She was crying silently. You know how sad is that, guys? Can't you just picture that? He's got a lot of praying to do for God to forgive him for all of this awful stuff he did. Where was he kicking her? Her backside. Where were you? 5 feet away. And so was Rube. What did Mr. Combs say to you? He said, if you jump in, I'm going to F you up too. What did Rube do? Nothing. Who did you call? D-Rock. I told him, tell your brother to stop Puff. He is kicking the shit out of her. I called Polly too. I said he'd take care of it, but Rube did nothing. What next? Mr. Combs told me to get the F out too. I left on foot. Could you still see her getting kicked? Until I went around the bend. Guys, that is just heart-wrenching. Then who did you call? Regina Ventura. I told her he's kicking the shit out of your daughter. I can't call the police, but you can. Why didn't you call the police? The mission of the day was to get Cuddy, so no calling the police. Guys, you know how sad, it's heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking that he had that much control and he destroyed somebody's life that much and he thought he was worth all that. If I had 5 minutes alone with the glass wall between me and Diddy, because I wouldn't want to be in the same room with him, I would tell him, Puff, we all came into this world is nothing but dirty rags, right? Before God saved us, we were nothing but dirty rags. And now you are still a filthy, dirty, nasty, vile rag. And I don't see it changing for you because you're nasty. All right. So then he said, this email. Okay. This email, who's it from? Cassie. She wrote that he would be releasing sex tapes about me and he would have someone else hurt me, and Scott Muscati. Do you recall if you responded to this? I don't. Did law enforcement call you? The arson investigators, Cuddy had given them my name and I hung up on them. I just wanted this over. What did Mr. McCuddy say to you? He said, I should kill you bitches and I should cut her face. Wow. How many times did Mr. Combs threaten you? I'd say 50 times. D-Rock was there, just doubling down on whatever Puff was saying in the moment. Who is Harvey Pierre? Well, okay, so we know who Harvey Pierre is. They were saying he was like cold-blooded, that he didn't really, he just told them what to do and say. Okay, so wait, let's see. The president of Bad Boy Records. I told him Puff had kidnapped me. What did Harvey Pierre tell you? He said, that's crazy, but it's going to be okay. I got a termination notice. I was accused on not properly putting in for the vacation I was on. Had you put in? Yes, to Harvey Pierre. Did you lose benefits? All of them. Health, 401k, my house, and my car. What did Mr. Combs say? That I would never work again and that he would make me kill myself. That he would make me kill myself. You know what, guys? Isn't that basically what he did to everyone else? Make them kill themselves. They were so depressed and so forlorn and so lost. And so, isn't that what's happening to Justin Bieber right now? Kind of basically. I don't know. Let's keep going. Did you get a job offer? I did, but it fell through. I couldn't get a job. Did you settle with Mr. Combs? In October 2012 for Agnophilia. Objection. Can I approach? Sidebar. Okay. During the sidebar, there was a court artist, Capricorn Clark. Courtesy. Oh, okay. This is what Capricorn Clark looked like by the court artist. Okay. They're back. Aside from the settlement agreement, do you have any other pending allegations against Mr. Combs? No. Did you go back to work for him? No one else would hire me. Cassie had a new record deal with Epic. Who did you have to get approvals from? Sean Combs. Cassie was taking more drugs. Was she still dating Mr. Combs? Yes. In December 2023, why did you retain an attorney? I was traumatized by Cassie's civil complaint. Her complaint did not reference me. I reached out to Mr. Combs and said, I want my life back. You kidnapped me. Agnophilia. Objection. Overruled. Was there a discussion of you working for Mr. Combs again? Yes, as chief of staff. When did you last speak with Miss Ventura? 2018. And Mr. Muscati? 2012. No further questions. Judge, break. Can I start? Judge, well, we're taking a break. Okay, and then they're back. Miss Clark, you are still under oath. Agnophilia, we met in April 2024. You had a lawyer, Brian Friedman. Yes. And this is Agnophilia. You wanted to come back and work with Mr. Combs, right? We discussed it. Yes. Agnophilia. We saw Miss Garagos. You saw Mrs. Garagos taking notes? Yes. You said you didn't think Cassie was good for Mr. Combs. Why? I just thought they were toxic. Tell me about when you were in New York. I was in the Bronx and I hated it. It was 2002. I met Jeanette. Then Mr. Combs in 2001 was the World Trade Center thing. Then I met Mr. Combs. And this is now Agnophilia. He wasn't doing drugs, right? He did ecstasy in Daddy House, but it got worse. Yes. Agnophilia. You authorized Mr. Freeman to seek a job for you. Clark said, it was all about my procedural lawyer to lawyer. But you were told you couldn't be given a job in the middle of the investigation. I don't remember that. Read this and let me know when you're done. Do you remember saying you had the biggest crush on him? Objection. That was a prosecution. Mr. Agnophilia, the judge said. Agnophilia, state of mind. Prosecution, it's being offered for the truth. Agnophilia, we had a stip on this. Sidebar. You're back. They're back. Agnophilia, you called him chalk for chocolate? Capricorn, yes, I did. Agnophilia, you started with Def Jam, Run DMC. I don't go back to that far. I'm more Foxy Brown, Redline, Jay-Z. Do you know? So, how do you come to work for Mr. Combs? I put my resume on Monster. After the World Trade Center thing, he said, "You'd work for me." And I was like, maybe. He was acting on Broadway in A Raisin in the Sun, and I was impressed. He had a major part. He was a star. Then I shadowed him on the Vote or Die campaign. My job was to get the t-shirts on the celebrities and into the photo shoots. I'd call them and they'd say Puff wanted them to come. I can feel it. And did they come? They did. How long before the jewelry was missing? It was about 4 months. On the 4th of July, he threw a white party at his house in the Hamptons that year with a vote or die. A vote with a vote or die. Anglophilia, when did the jewels end up missing? What happened? July 4th. The jewels were still on loan from Jacob the jeweler. Anglophilia, who else got lie detector tested? Mike B, his stylist, he had gone. You know what, guys? Don't you? Okay, I'm sorry. I have to. Hello, OG. Okay, so listen. What do you think? What do you think that Diddy took the jewels? Or who do you think really took the jewels? I mean, come on. Welcome OG. Welcome to our family. We love having you here. Who do you think who do you think took the jewels? Because Capricorn said she didn't do it. Who do you think took them? Let's see. Let's see. I'm curious. Or maybe he took them back. Maybe he took them back to the Jacob Jewelers where they were borrowed and never told anybody. Okay. Okay, so they lie detector. Okay, Mike B, his stylist, he had gone to the street level of 1444 manicures. The lie detector test was the next day. You never told HR? No. I got fired for 3 weeks. I got fired for 3 weeks. How did you get unfired? I went to work on his 35th birthday at Cipertini to do the celebrity list. I came back. Okay, so Agnifilio says 2024 to 2006. Not at all. As a personal assistant, then liaisons. Oh, she wasn't a personal assistant. She was the liaisons. Okay. I was making about 65,000 for Combs. Then, okay, so guys, listen to this. Listen to this before we go any further. You're right. The butler probably did it. And the butler's name was Diddy. Okay, so listen to this. So, she was making 65,000 a year. 65,000 a year. Working all those hours and doing all that. She was probably making $10 an hour or $9 an hour. And because she didn't get paid overtime. No, she didn't get paid enough. I'm telling you right now. I just don't think so. All right. So Agnifilio said, why did you come back to Combs? And she said, I had gotten top records for R. Kelly. Mr. Combs said he was impressed. Asked me to come back for Sean Jean for the women's clothes. Oh, yeah, right. He wanted to keep you from doing anything for anybody else. I think I was really a good employee for him. Agnifilio, he told you you were awesome. He did not use that word. You worked hard for him. I did. Others worked hard too, right? Not as hard as me. I did learn a lot from Mr. Combs, almost crying. He broke that glass ceiling for us black people in the business world. Really. Agafilio, do you need a minute? Yeah, you need more than a minute to think about that one. No, it's just complicated. We'll take a break. With the jury and the witnesses out, the judge, on DNA questions to Inspector Jimenez, the government's objection is overruled. We asked for a bit longer. We've not been able to eat lunch. We are running ahead of schedule. Our case may be closer to 5 weeks than 6 weeks. So longer break if you'd like and cancel. Okay, so now they're at lunch. Okay, so now they have gone to lunch and everybody's eating and making merry. And Diddy's probably eating better than he ever has because he's not in prison anymore and holding. He's getting a sandwich. And he still thinks he's right. How about that? Isn't that great? He's keeping a stiff upper lip while he controls his lawyers and tells them what to do and how to say it. Guys, he makes me laugh because you just don't control people like that. And you don't do things like that. And he is just in his own black web of demonic nastyism. And I know that's not a word, but I like it. So we're going to, itty bitty demon Diddy, black web. He's like a spider weaving his black web of nasty, narcissistic, vulgar, vile stuff. How about that? Did I sell y'all? Yeah, it's still not enough. He's gonna get up there, Whoopi. If it doesn't, I think this is what I think. I think he may take the stand. I think he may take the stand in defense of himself, if and only if he thinks he has a chance. If he thinks there's anybody on that jury that's wavering. But I think that if he feels like he's dead to rights and he's guilty dead to rights, well, you know what? He still may get up there. He still may. I don't know, y'all. He's a nut that's hard to crack. So I don't know. Oh, I know they will. Oh, you know what? And I will be here for it because it is going to be so good. It's going to be so amazing. I can't wait to see him get to our bar. Oh, sorry. I got too excited there for a minute. It's insanity. It's insanity. Wolfie, I love your new thumbnail. It's a beautiful picture. I would love to see it too. I would love to see them almost make him beg for forgiveness. Because you know what? I want to see him get up there and swim in his own vile slime that he created. Oh my gosh. Am I like painting a picture or what? Because, he's awful. He's awful. He is one of the most awful people. Oh, stop that. I have contacts on, so I see perfect. Thank you very much. You know what? I don't even think there's words in Webster's dictionary to describe him and his freak out parties and the slime that he's created. In Pure Country, remember in Pure Country, the movie, when the grandpa said he looked over at George Strait, and he said, you know, that that little black dot that's on top of chicken shit. Well, guess what? That's also chicken shit. I mean, not a better word said ever. You know, Diddy, you know, the slime that's on, you know, the stuff that's underneath the slime, the amoebas that are swimming, it's still slime and you created it. And I hope you're not proud of yourself because you're a vile, vile individual. Vile individual. I don't even know. I bet you he doesn't even sleep at night. All right, guys, they're at lunch, and I'm coming back on tonight. So I am gonna say hasta luego, ego, for now, and then I will see you guys tonight at 6:30. Yep, look, KMM, great minds think alike. Um, and I will see you guys at 6:30 tonight Central Time. Thank you so much for being here with me as we trudge through the slime of the Diddy trial. All right. Love y'all. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.